Hello, everybody. Teacher Luis, and today I am in the park with Lily. We're recording this video from here. Say hi. Hello. Today we're going to be talking about phrasal verbs, and I found out that sometimes the students, even when we have been having classes for some time, they still don't know what is a phrasal verb. So this video is very important. So let's get started. What is a phrasal verb? A phrasal verb, as the word says, a phrase is when you put words together. So in this case, we're going to have a verb and a particle. That particle can be an adverb or it can be a preposition. Now, what happens with this is that the meaning is often, actually very often, different from the meaning of the verb. When you add that particle, the preposition or the adverb to the verb, it changes the meaning. So you cannot understand it word by word. The example that we have in here is give, which means to offer, dar. Right? But when you add up, to give up, means to stop trying something. So that means rendirse. So as you can see, it changes a lot, the meaning, I'm sorry. And that happens with many of them. Now, why are they confusing? Well, they're confusing because, first of all, in Spanish, we don't have such construction of a verb plus a particle. And because we don't have that, then there's no way we can understand it. We cannot find something similar in our language. So that's why it's confusing. Then the meaning is idiomatic, so it's not always a logical meaning. Which also makes it very difficult because if you know the meaning of the verb, you say, okay, it must be something related to it, but sometimes it's not at all, as we will see in the examples. And also because one verb can form many different phrasal verbs, depending on the adverb or the preposition that you add to it. And I have these two examples. Take off, which means to remove your clothes. Quitarse la ropa is to take off. And take over means to have or to control something. So you have one verb, you change the preposition or the adverb, and then it means something completely different. So you have to learn this, as I have it here. You must learn them as if they were new verbs. Okay, don't learn them word by word because then that will not work. So phrasal verbs would take one verb and many meanings. Again, these can be very confusing, but look, we have take off, which means to remove your clothes. But it also means to leave the ground. Whatever it is that at some point is on the ground and then it elevates, is leaving the ground, then you can say it takes off. For example, planes, right? Planes take off every day from the airports at different times. Take up is to start something, for example, a new hobby or a new activity. To take over is to gain control of over something. I don't know, the president of the company quit, so now Juan Perez is taking over. Okay. To take out, again, is to remove or to go out with someone. To take in is to absorb or to understand. To take back is to return something. To take down is it can be either to write something or to remove also. To take after, to resemble a family member. Se parece. And take care of, this one I think is one that you may know, which is to look after someone or something. But look how to look after is also a phrasal verb. It's cuidar de alguien, okay? And actually take care of or to look after someone or something. Both of them mean like cuidar, okay? So it is confusing, but it's the way it is. And this is just one example with one verb. But then there are phrasal verbs, like, for example, I told you before, give, right? Give, depending on the particle that you add, is also going to have different meanings. But again, try to learn these as vocabulary, okay? That's the easiest way. Now, Transitive versus intransitive phrasal verbs. And you're like, what? Well, there are two types of phrasal verbs. Now, the transitive phrasal verbs is when they need an object. And at this point, I hope that you already know what is the object of the sentence. Remember that the object of the sentence is what answers to the what in terms of the verbs. For example, she turned off the TV. If you say she turned off, ella apagó. ¿Apagó qué? We need something there, right? That's the object. Then that makes it a transitive phrasal verb, okay? There are other ones that you don't need an object. For example, the plane took off. El avión se fue, despegó. It doesn't answer to a what, okay? So the object of the sentence, remember, is what answers to what, okay? I used up all my money. To use up is to use every single, acabarse algo, okay? Acabarse algo. So I used up all my money is what did I use up? All my money is answering to what, okay? So that is a transitive phrasal verb. Intransitive, yesterday I slept in. The phrasal verb sleep in means dormir más, como dormir hasta tarde. That doesn't have any object, right? Yesterday I slept in. Now, look how I'm using it in past, because these are verbs and you can use them, you can conjugate them, or these phrasal verbs, you can conjugate them in any tense, right? Because you always have a verb. As long as you have a verb, you can conjugate them in the past or in the future or in the present perfect or whatever, okay? I hope that you don't end up after this slide like the dog. You see the dog is like, what? It's kind of confusing, I understand, but it's important. And yeah, it's an essential part of the language because native speakers use it a lot. Now, separable versus inseparable, plus the pronouns. Now, as hopefully you already understand what an object is, I hope so. When there is a separable phrasal verb, it means that you can take that object and you can put it in the middle between the verb and the particle. Okay, look at the example. Turn off the TV. I can say that it's okay, it's fine, but I can also say turn the TV off. Okay, so both are correct, and this phrasal verb specifically allows it, so no problem. But then we have the inseparable, which is when the object must go after. Look after your dog. That is the only way. You cannot say look your dog after. That is not correct, okay? And how do I know when a phrasal verb is separable or inseparable? There's no way to know it. I'm sorry, but it's just memorization. This is like new vocabulary, new words. And when using the object pronouns, these are important, so I put them in here. Me, you, him, her, it, us, or them, which remember, these are object pronouns. They're not subject pronouns. The subject pronouns are the ones that function as a subject. When you have an object pronoun, then they have to go in the middle, okay? If there is a conversation and you already know the kids are watching TV, let's say that the kids have been watching TV the whole day. And then mom comes and says, turn it off. Turn it off. That it is referring to the TV. So the context is allowing us to not use the TV again. We just use the it referring to the TV. So we have to put it in the middle. Okay, we cannot say turn off it. No. Turn it off is the correct way. And maybe you don't know, but you have been using some of them because these are common everyday phrasal verbs that we have learned. To wake up, which is when you stop sleeping. in the morning or whatever it is that you wake up, that is a phrasal verb. Put on. To put on is to dress yourself. It's the opposite of take off, right? I put on my clothes. To take off, to remove your clothing. To look for. This is a very common one. And if you think about it, look is mirar, right? But then when you put to look for together, these two words, it means to search, buscar. Give up, which means to stop trying something, rendirse. Turn on or turn off is to activate or deactivate something. Encender o apagar, right? Because if you look at it, turn actually means como dar vuelta, right? Turn. But then you put on, turn on, encender, turn off, apagar. So maybe you have been using some of these phrasal verbs already and you just didn't know that they are called phrasal verbs. And I know that this presentation can be a little bit frustrating because it's like, what? But what I wanted to do with this presentation is to let you know about the existence of phrasal verbs. Because again, it's a matter of learning new vocabulary. And the fact that there are no rules makes it very challenging, all right? But these tips that I want to give you to end is please don't memorize translations, because sometimes with phrasal verbs, they don't apply, right? You cannot translate word by word because then it doesn't make any sense, all right? Focus on examples and context. Try to see, or when you spot those phrasal verbs, try to see them in the context so you can understand it. Or you can actually look on the internet. If you see a phrasal verb, you look, what is the meaning of the phrasal verb? Look for, okay? So then you're going to get a correct answer. Make your own sentences. This is a really good thing. Once you know the phrasal verb, try to put it into practice by writing your own ideas and use what you learn, because remember that repetition also helps. So that's everything. Again, I hope you don't end up this video feeling like, oh my God. It is challenging. I understand that sometimes it can be confusing, but it is not that confusing. It's, again, what I did when I found out about them was like, okay, it's just like new words. It's just phrases. It's just vocabulary. I have to try to learn as many as I can and then use them. It's just like vocabulary, okay? So go to the Google Classroom, complete your assignment, and if you have any questions, remember that you can always send a message to the WhatsApp group and I will go ahead and reply, or your teacher will go ahead and reply as soon as we can. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.